everyone, Effie here. Today I'm going to show you how I layered our Fantastic Feathers set. Now this is a large stamp set. It's 9 by 12 inches, so it's very large and it's just absolutely beautiful. You get to layer this beautiful peacock. So we're going to start off with this stamp here in this set, and this is the fullest stamp, or rather the most solid stamp in this set. So I'm going to use my original size Misty to stamp this in our bright tourmaline dye ink. And I'm stamping this onto an A2 size horizontal card panel. I designed the set so that it would fit over the face of an A2 panel, and that is why the feathers are fairly large. So once I have inked up my large first layer feather stamp, I'm going to close the door of my Misty to stamp my card panel, and you get the first layer of the feathers. And look how gorgeous that is. You have also these white spots within this layer. So next you're going to take this stamp from the set, and I'm going to stamp this in our iris bloom. So for this stamp, there are all these little elements within the stamp, and you want to kind of layer them over the white spot. So after you stamp this stamp, you're still going to have those white spots showing. This stamp is literally just going to add a ring of color around those white spots. And as you try to layer this stamp over the first layer, you don't want to try to layer everything at once. Just kind of go with one side or one portion and then match up another side and go from there. It should match up perfectly if you just kind of choose two opposite sides and layer them like that. I hope that's not too confusing. So I'm just going to ink this stamp up with our Iris Blooms dye ink and then just stamp this layer. When you ink up each stamp, you don't want to push the stamp pad too hard onto the stamp because you don't want an excess amount of ink on your stamp, because then you're going to lose some detail and you'll just end up with blobs of color, and you don't want that. So just lightly coat the surface of the stamp with a little bit of ink and then stamp the image. Next you're going to take this stamp from the set. It's kind of a solid circle with an open circle inside, and you're just going to stamp this within the white areas. And for this stamp, you're going to fill in most of the white space in those white holes. You're going to be left with a tiny white spot, and then this is where you're going to stamp. You can see the tiny white spots here, and you're actually going to stamp the last two stamps for the feathers in this white spot. So we're going to use this stamp next, and you want to make sure that the dot is stamped more towards the lower portion of the white hole or spot. And I know it's kind of hard to see because the white spots are getting smaller and smaller, but I promise you that it will fit. So for this stamp, it kind of has a divot towards the top, and that's how you're going to identify this stamp. So it has a little divot on the top, and you're going to stamp it towards the bottom portion of the white hole, and you're going to end up with an image like this. And you can see there's still a tiny bit of white areas left in that hole, and then you're going to take this last stamp, and what I'm going to do is, instead of adding an extra color, I'm just going to silver heat emboss this one. So before I do any embossing, I'm going to dry my panel to make sure it's completely dry, and then I'll stamp this and then pour some silver embossing powder over to add a little bit of metallic shine. There's one more stamp for the feathers, but I actually do that at the end because I kind of forgot to do it at this point. So I'm going to show you how I stamp that last one at the end, and that's going to go over top of the actual body of the feathers. But now we're going to stamp the body of the peacock, and here are the 2-layer stamps. So for this first layer, I'll stamp it in our Italian denim dye ink, and again, this has a little bit of texture to it, the stamped image, so you don't want to ink the surface up that much. You just want to lightly coat it with just a little bit of ink. And I'm going to do the same thing with the second layer of this outer portion of the body. So once that's stamped, this is another portion of the body that also consists of 2 layers. And I'll be stamping these in our Cali Blue and Azurite dye inks. So make sure you stamp the outer portion of the peacock's body first, and then these two inner portions of the body. And then this is the little beak of the peacock, which I'll stamp in some of our Caviar Black Hybrid ink. Next, I'm going to stamp the peacock's feet with a combination of amber citrine dye ink and spiced chai dye ink. And here is the almost completed peacock. We're just going to take one last stamp. These are kind of like feather caps. If you've ever seen a picture of a peacock, they have these kind of feather caps, and I wanted to include them because I feel like they just add a little bit more realism to the image. So I just added a sentiment from the same stamp set, and the sentiments in this set are really great because you can mix and match them to create a variety of different occasion cards. So thanks so much for watching, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to our YouTube channel, and I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. I'll see you next time. Bye!